When we're doing our workouts, we want them to be effective, right? And the best way to be effective with our time and with our workouts is to apply progressive overload. If you are spending hours in the gym and you aren't applying progressive overload, then you could be really missing out on results that you could be getting instead of just spinning your wheels, showing up every day, and just wondering why you're not getting where you think you should be. So, what is progressive overload and how do we apply it? So, progressive overload is how we adapt our muscles by applying stimulus to them during our workouts so that we get the most out of that exercise for muscle growth, recovery, strength, and body recomp changes. So there are 4 ways that you can apply progressive overload to your workouts or to an exercise within your workout. And one way you can do that is by increasing the reps on your current exercise. Another way would be increasing the total weight. You can also increase the time under tension by adding a pause or by just doing the exercise slower. And then the 4th way is by increasing your range of motion. So let me break those down for you. Let's use an example of a squat. If you're applying progressive overload to a squat, then you will see day 1, maybe you can do a squat with 20 pounds. Over time, you should be able to add and increase that weight. So we'll be able to do 25 pounds, 30 pounds. That would be progressively overloading your squat by increasing the weight. Maybe all you have at home is a 20-pound dumbbell. So instead of increasing the weight on your squat, you're going to increase reps. Maybe on the first day, you can do 8 reps with your 20-pound dumbbell. And then a few weeks later, you're doing 9, 10, 11, 12 reps with that same 20-pound dumbbell. That's how we're using progressive overload to increase reps. For time under tension, we can use that same 20-pound dumbbell and we can keep the same 8 reps, but we can do them a lot slower. So we can count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 2 full seconds down, pause, same thing, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, sitting in that bottom position, and then another 2 Mississippi to come back up. So you're doing a 2, 2, 2. You're taking longer to do the exercise, putting your muscles under more tension. So that's how you can increase your difficulty of an exercise by using the time under tension method. And then lastly is that range of motion piece. So maybe when you start doing your squats, you're not getting super, super far down. Maybe you're getting like halfway to parallel. And when we say parallel in a squat, we're talking like our hips are down about the same height as our knees come out in that bottom position. So what you want to see is over time, you're able to get lower and lower into that squat than you were in week 1. And then that is going to be progressively overloading the squat by increasing range of motion. So that's how we do progressive overload with strength training. But what about progressive overload with cardio? So with cardio, it's going to look a little bit different. With cardio, you're going to see how far you can go and in what amount of time. And then over time, can you go further in the same amount of time? So let's say you're able to run from your front door to the stop sign in under 10 minutes. Over time, you're going to be able to want to do that in 9 minutes or 8 minutes. And that means your speed is increasing during the same distance. You could also say, instead of being able to only run to my stop sign, I'm now able to run to the second stop sign. So I'm able to run further without having to stop or take breaks. So those are 2 ways you can increase your cardio by applying progressive overload. And then the last way would be by adding some type of resistance. So maybe you are using ankle weights, maybe you're using a weighted vest, maybe you're going on hikes and you're using a heavy backpack. So adding those types of things to your cardio training, to your conditioning, is going to make it more difficult for you, which again is creating that progressive overload technique. We're making the exercise we're currently doing difficult the next time we go to do it. So let's say you're walking on a treadmill and you're on an incline. If you were to throw on a weighted vest, that would make it harder, even though you don't have to change the incline or the speed of the treadmill. So that's an example of another way that you can apply progressive overload through training cardio. But really, what it's all going to come down to, and the method that you're going to choose, is going to depend, 1, on your goals, and it's going to depend, 2, on the type of equipment that you have access to and the amount of time that you have to carve out for your training session, right? So if you have any questions about how you can apply this to your workouts, make sure that you are tagging your coaches in your channel and you are asking them how you can make your workouts work better for you. Because without this piece of the puzzle, you're probably putting in a lot more work than you really need to be putting in. You're putting a lot more time in workouts that aren't as effective as they otherwise could be if you were applying this technique. So the key here is small, steady changes over time so that you don't have to keep spinning your wheels and you don't get burnt out. You're just going to be increasing these things by a little bit every single workout if you can. We're not going to be going into that next workout and trying to do double the amount of weight we were doing last week, but we're always just pushing ourselves a little bit more. Can I do a little bit more today while maintaining good form? That's the question that you really want to be asking yourself.